Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR NA 2025. I'm your host, Panicast, joined by the amazing Duncan Brawl Stars. How are you doing today, Duncan? I unfortunately left you on the lurch yesterday, and you had to do everything by yourself, and I apologize. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's all good. I mean, you might have left me, but I got a little bit of a backfill for you. So we had a great time over there. Special shout out to my buddy Panther for filling in. But we had some great games, and it was definitely some intense matches. So hopefully some of that intensity will carry over to today. We've had more like 2-1 sets, and I think we've seen in a single day of GKR so far. So very competitive. The stakes are getting higher and higher each time we go into it. This is our last day of matches, so these teams are really going to have to come to play, Panda.
Yeah, I know, and if we look at the leaderboards, I mean, it's not visually represented for you guys, but there are 2 ties, right? But it's massive. There is a 3-way tie for first place, and then there is a 5-way tie for 4th place. So all of these teams are more or less kind of guaranteed to make it to the playoffs, but there are a few teams that we really need to talk about today. And I guess the first one is going to be LC Esports versus Space Station Gaming. Now, LC and SSG, both of these teams are basically through to the playoffs, right? So for them right now, it's not really about, say, the win per se. It's about the placement for the playoffs. You want to get a good seeding, so you need to get as many points as possible, because if you get a better seeding, then the possibility is that you're going to be facing some weaker opponents, which makes it better for you. But you know, it's going to be interesting, since Bobby, I believe, is going to be playing from the plane. He is playing 10,000 feet in the air with that spotty Wi-Fi. It's definitely going to be a very difficult task for Space Station today.
Yeah, I cannot imagine being in Bobby's position right here, man. It's a pretty high stakes game, and they lost to LLC in day 1 of the GKR circuit. So definitely a bad taste in SSG's mouth coming out of that. But Bobby is going to have to be locked in, even if he is 10,000 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Got to be no excuses for SSG, man. His teammates are going to have to carry some of that slack, perhaps. But hopefully he won't have any connection issues, and we'll still have a fair competitive matchup between these 2 teams. Because, I mean, the first one gave us a banger. I'm expecting nothing less from the rematch.
Exactly. And I know, okay, we are in NA right now, but I just want to talk about what we saw in the monthly finals in the other regions. And specifically with the second split, you get double points in the BSC. And that means that teams that did not perform as great in the first split have a huge chance for a comeback. You can win every single monthly finals in the first split, but still not be in the first seed even after a month or 2 months down the line in the second split. So that's a very big concern. Specifically, if you look at Heretics and Foot Esports in EMEA, prior to this monthly finals, they were, you know, at the bottom rung looking at LCQ, but now they're looking like staunch contenders for the World Finals. And how this ties into NA is that for specifically NA and SSG in particular, they've had a very paltry first season, right? First half of the season. And now they've swapped out Ducky for a different drafter for them. I'm not exactly sure who that is, but their results recently are really speaking to me, and I think that the second split is something that, you know, teams like SSG, Kodoji are really going to be looking towards to make those LCQs, to make the World Finals. I don't know if World Finals is in the cards for SSG this year, but LCQ is definitely a possibility, and the second split is going to make it much easier or possible for them.
Yeah, I still got hope for SSG, man. I mean, we've seen them. They're laying demons. I mean, I feel like that's a title that they've given themselves, but I think it stands true. So, I mean, hopefully we'll get to see them at least play for a chance to qualify for the World Finals. I think that everybody wants to see them there. But the second half of the season, man, it really is anyone's game. And just to kind of touch on what you were talking about with that second split, we saw Team Heretics take home the EU monthly finals, which proves that NA best region. NA is back on top, guys, and we've got some great NA games for you today. So you just know that you are watching the best Brawl Stars region right here, right now.
I love it. I love it. So bold and yet so brave and so, I wouldn't say wrong, but I hope to that you prove everybody wrong, right? I want to see NA on top again. We haven't had an NA land title in ever, I think, international land titles. So this is definitely something that we are looking forward to. There are some other great games. We have GG versus Pioneers, Real Ones versus Elevate, but we're going to go into our draft, and this is the Brawl Day. So the first map is going to be Triple Dribble on the docket. The other 2 are Sneaky Fields and Pinhole Punt. The draft bans are here. We have Griff, Lou, Jackie, Barley, Hank, and Lumi being banned out and take it away, Duncan. What do you think they're going to go for?
I was definitely not going to guess that. I mean, with the Jackie and the Hank out of the way, I think that the Shade is kind of opened up for them. So definitely not the worst pick on the planet. It's definitely a pop-off brawler if you're able to get those plays. But picking it first does leave a little bit of questions for me. I mean, Griff is banned out, so that is the best wall break for this map eliminated. But if there is any wall break that's going to be coming through, maybe in the form of a Chester that could make the Shade's life incredibly difficult, I think it's a relatively solid pick, though. We do see the Chester come out from SSG. Another brawler to keep your eye on here, I would say, is probably Kenji. I don't think he's got the greatest matchup into Shade, but still a pretty solid brawler even after the hypercharge nerf.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's a reason why you do see Chester and Shade being brought out from time to time. El Primo's coming out, which is an interesting shout here. I like El Primo because there are enough walls to make El Primo a really big goal-scoring monster here, and with the Chester breaking open some of these walls at the end, getting the stuns and the hypercharge as well, it's going to make Primo a little bit more scary to deal with on the other side. So you have a pretty balanced composition coming in from SSG, though there is a B, and that's going to be coming out. Cross lane support, B is going to do a number on El Primo, but I'm assuming that SSG know what they need to do in order to draft against this B.
Yeah, I think that the B pick is pretty smart from LLC, because the reason that we see the Primo come out is to counter that Shade. Primo also has the wall break capabilities that could definitely make the Shade a lot more useless. So they're kind of saying, if you're going to break our walls, then we're going to go a brawler that's good with the wall break. That's the strategy from LLC, and I think that's pretty good strategy coming out from them. They take the Juju with the last pick as well, which is a brawler that does thrive with those walls, but as long as there's grass, she's going to be able to get that extra range. And with the matchups that she has right now, it's going to be so incredibly easy for her to cycle supers. Definitely going to be a thorn in the side of SSG.
I completely missed what Roladu was putting up on the screen, so anyway.
He said free somebody.
I saw free somebody. Mortis is going to be coming out. I like the Mortis pick a lot. B, Juju, both very squishy, but that charge up shot and maybe even the Gree might be a little bit difficult for Mortis to deal with, but I think that it's still a pretty decent shout here for a pickup.
Yep, and we're getting into the first game right here, and it looks like Sans is already going to fall very weak. He's going to drop to the floor immediately, and that's going to be a very, very quick goal coming out from LLC here. Looks like their comp is going to have a lot of the answers that they were looking for against this comp from SSG. Chino does have his bats finally ready to go, though, and he's getting a great amount of value. I do not think that Bobby has moved in this second interaction here, though.
What is Bobby even doing? I'm kidding. Oh, dude, I do not envy Bobby's position here. Hyperdrive's coming in from Roladu, and they should be able to get some kills going in. Ooh, lots of value from that hypercharge as well, but Roladu is able to get one kill. Not able to get the goal just yet, but, you know, they are going to polish this one off. Pretty easy win for LC, especially considering the fact that Bobby was just, you know, completely lagging out.
This is a little bit awkward for SSG right here, man. I mean, they've got a decent enough comp, but I mean, it's only going to work if it's 3v3. Obviously, 2v3 is going to be a tall task for any of these teams right here. And it seems like Bobby's playing Wi-Fi might be doing him a little bit dirty, but we're into game number 2. It looks like Bobby's movement is somewhat back, but he's still going to be falling down quite weak. Sans is the last remaining line of defense. And if Kirito chooses to go for this ball, he should be able to walk it in. Not really too sure why Chino didn't try to corner that, but it's going to be an immediate goal for LLC, and it's looking like they're going to walk away with this set so far.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're just trying to farm that KD and get the win-loss in the set here. It's probably going to help them with seeding especially. So I think LLC definitely looking forward to getting this dub, but they want to get it a little bit more guaranteed without conceding goals or without losing any games. So you're going to try to see them completely blitz through SSG. I don't think it's a difficult ask, all things considered.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like it, especially with the way that Kirito is manning this Shade right now. He is absolutely dominating all of the tankier options that SSG has to offer. Sans is going to be trying to get something rolling here, but he is just a sitting target for Squeezy to be able to tee off on. He's already got another Gree, and Kirito is just walking around outside of the map, inside of the walls, doing anything that he wants to do. That's going to be a very free win. LSC walks away with set 1.
Yeah, that's true. Free Mem XN. I don't know who that is. But yeah, free them.
Casuals?
Free them. They need to be free. But
we may be casuals for that one, Pan. I'm not familiar with who that is.
But I mean, honestly, all things considered, like I feel bad for SSG, the predicament that they're in, but they have no options. They don't have any subs. I believe the time window to put in your subs is already over. So unlike the other teams who, you know, needed subs within that time frame where they could lock in the rosters, SSG does not have that. So Bobby is forced to play from the plane. If he doesn't, they get negative points. So this is the only way that SSG don't lose out on qualifying. The seeding doesn't matter to them right now. They just want to get to the playoffs, right? So that's why they're here. And if you're looking at the screen, we have Brawl Ball. This is match day number 6. So one thing that GKR does, which not a lot of other tournament organizers do, is that one mode is played for each of the match days, right? You have 3 different maps, and that is going to be all the maps that all the teams are going to be participating on in that specific match day. So it's all Brawl Ball. We're going to have triple dribble, sneaky fields, pinhole punts, and you get to see all the different strategies that teams bring to the table when playing these maps, not just in the game itself, but also how they, you know, decide to go about doing their draft, how they respond and how they pick up certain brawlers to deny picks from other teams. So it is a pretty interesting format, at least to me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that, but we're going to be getting our first look of the day at Sneaky Fields here. Our bans are in. LLC is banning Hank, Lumi, and Finks. SSG banning out Lou, Shelly, and El Primo. So lots of tank counter options being banned out by Space Station. Curious to see if they're choosing to go with a tank with this first pick right here. Obviously, we just saw how impactful the Shade can be on some of these Brawl Ball maps. This is another map that definitely favors his skill set. So I think that could be in the cards right here. We'll see what SSG goes with that first pick, but a lot of the best tank counters are banned out here. They're going to go with the Frank, though. So scratch that Shade idea. They're just going to take the tankiest tank in the game, and of course, that's going to be our buddy Frank.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with Frank if you have really bad ping. I don't know. I'm just saying shit. But I think that Frank, even with like low HP and high ping, is still definitely not a great brawler because you need those shots to keep on hitting really fast. So you need that ping there. Considering all the bans, not a bad pickup here. There is going to be a Poco coming out for LC Esports NA, so they're probably going to be doubling down on a lot of this tanky strategies. Like, since all the counters have been removed from the equation, Poco gets a lot more equity in these in the draft for me.
Yeah, I don't mind the Poco double tank strategy, but I'm just kind of looking through and I'm like, what tanks are even left? I mean, I guess we are going to see one of them come out here with the Ashe. The Buster and Ollie kind of come to mind too, but they don't have the most DPS as far as some of these tank options go. So I would expect a little bit of anti-tank at this 4-5 turn for the SSG draft. Maybe something like Otis could be pretty decent. I mean, Finks and Lumi being banned out does eliminate a lot of those options. I feel like Otis is kind of an underrated pick that could be useful here. Maybe Max could find her way back into the meta as well, but we are just going to see the tanks continue to fly off the board here. The draft meta is very apparent. We're going to see that Jackie picked up by Space Station.
Yeah, I like this Jackie pick here. Just doubling down on all of these tanks here. Ashe is also going to do a number, but against both Jackie and Frank, and if these are piloted by not Bobby, I think it's still going to be a pretty decent shout for SSG. I think that they can have something going forward, but let's see what they decide to go for. They go for M's, so tank counters is a very important aspect of this game. You might see Bobby on the Frank, actually, not the M's or the Jackie.
I don't know what we're going to see Bobby on, but hopefully he's taking notes. Hopefully that plain Wi-Fi is going to lock in for him right here. I do like the Ems pick, though, especially into the Ashe, considering it does have the Pierce that's able to deal with those rats quite well. And Ems is also a classic counter to Poco, so definitely like that look from SSG. LLC is going to take the Otis that I was yapping about earlier, so I do think that's another fantastic tank counter. Doesn't have the most like peak abilities, but it's going to be able to shut down a tank if you're able to land that super. We are into set number 2 though, guys. We've got LLC and Blue as they are being forced back by Chino on the Frank right here. He's got a lot of positioning and pressure, and that is going to be a member of LLC falling as well. So Chino might be able to punch the ticket through here. Looks like Bobby is going to get a goal even with the plain Wi-Fi. Congratulations, Bob.
That is basically World Finals for me, considering playing Wi-Fi, right? That's crazy that they scored so fast. Walls coming down. That means Sans is going to get a little bit more, I guess, value from his super there. Corito going to be pulled in by Bobby, gets taken out. Ooh, SSG on a tear right now. Completely destroyed LC. What is this game? What?
I don't know, man. I think they might have found the answer to Bobby's Wi-Fi issues, and it's put him on the most brain-dead brawler that they can possibly think of. The Jackie, you don't even have the ability to aim if you want to, so I really like the idea. They're working with the circumstances that they've been dealt, and I mean, Bobby's going to kind of pop off there with the plain Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Bobby really doing numbers to the team with that Jackie there. Actually, not bad. This is why you got to go for ping-friendly brawlers in these situations. Obviously, 4 and 5 are ping, but sometimes you might have Bobby getting the good ping, and which is why he goes in, gets a kill on Roladu. Stun's coming in, and Squeezy is going to be the next to fall out. Garrido needs to get some defensive plays happening. It is not going to be enough with LC Esports conceding once more. SSG on top.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if this Poco pick is working out the best for LLC. They're not really getting any heal value, and more importantly, they just don't have the damage to be able to deal with them. But Chino is putting in some great work over here with the hypercharged Frank. He's got his super in a 1v2, but he is going to get hit with that Otis mute, so not going to be able to defend himself too well. Squeezy will deal with that, and LLC finally staves off an SSG push.
That's great for LSC, but they still have a lot of work to do here because they are down in goal. Hypercharge coming in for Garrido. He's going to put down his rats and he gets taken out. So not all that value. Bobby puts his hypercharge, but I think the play here is to be distracting and, you know, just perform the SK classic. Corner the ball. You've already got a goal. You don't need to force the issue.
Yep, and they're going to have to push into Chino with his Frank super. He's going to let that rip, but the Otis stun is there to cancel it out. So now there's going to be very favorable positioning from LLC. Sans pops the hypercharge to try to keep them back, but Kirito blasts through that anyway. Can Bobby keep this ball into the corner? It looks like he's not even going to try to do that. He's just going to go for a kill.
No
but Kirito
way!
is barely going to have enough HP to walk that in on Chino's face. It looks like Bobby might have got a little too distracted there.
I think it was a misplay from both Bobby and Chino. The communication definitely wasn't there, but that's expected considering the situation. He's playing for home plate. Anyway, kills coming in. Sad goes down. Garrido very low. Ball is very aggressive position. It has been cleared, but Squeezy just managing to slot this one in, and that's going to go the way of LSC.
That was pretty close to being defended very well by SSG right there. Bobby got the mute, but was still able to buy a little bit of time, but the goal is going to fall regardless, and that's going to be a little bit of a breath of fresh air that LLC needed in this set after getting absolutely walked down in game number 1. So we're going to be moving into match point right here. SSG has to win this one, otherwise they will be getting swept by LLC, but we are firing it up right now. We see Squeezy and Sans fighting in the middle. Chino does hit his pull gadget, but it's not going to be enough to take out Kirito quite yet.
Ooh, Bobby tries, but Chino tries, but he gets taken out. Bobby as well. Sans is the lone man alive, completely collapsed on all corners by the entirety of LLC. LLC in a great spot here. Positioning is also good, and Bobby, Chino, and Sans are in a predicament here.
They are, especially with that Otis Fat Splatter holding them inside of their goal as of right now. They are fully pinched in there, but Kirito is going to fall quite weak. He's still going to be able to survive. Chino not going to be able to secure that kill, but Bobby with the clutch save and a kill on top of it. He survives on 400 HP, and he might be going for the fast break layup.
This is my goat. This is my goat. That was crazy. How did he get that pull in that time? Beautiful defensive play coming in from SSG. Now LSC need to force the issue. They push the ball back. Bobby going in on a Squeezy, and you might have poke with double tank, but without the poke with a double tank isn't really all that great. Now Sans going in, drops a hypercharge, tries to find the kill on Garrido, tries to go for the goal. Can he get it? No, he gets taken out at the last second. Oh no, that was great for LSC though from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, I cannot believe he got as close to scoring that as he did. I thought that he was more or less on a suicide run there, but almost squeezed in the goal right now. We are still scoreless in this game of Brawl Ball and Sneaky Fields. Chino is going to fall, though. This could be the opening that LLC was looking for. Bobby is quite weak as well. All 3 members of LLC are still up, but Sans is going to be trying to buy a little bit of time, and Kirito falls right before receiving that goal pass. So SSG, once again, strong on the defensive end.
Great stuff coming from SSG once more, but kill on a Chino has been confirmed. Bobby's there with a hypercharge. He goes in, gets a double pull, gets 1 kill, gets the second. No, Squeezy is able to get the heals off in time, and now Chino in a difficult spot here, surely going to be taken out. Sans. Chino finally with a super goes in, gets a stun off onto Kirito, but not enough to completely get the kill, but has pushed back LSC and has alleviated a lot of the pressure. But the problem is time is ticking down. We're going to go into overtime very soon. The map's going to be completely open, but Chino getting the kill on a Squeezy is going to be really good for relieving a lot of the pressure that LSC is putting down on the map.
Definitely, but only 15 seconds left before overtime, and I do not think that favors SSG with this comp at all, especially with Kirito and Roladu having hypercharges online. Those rats are all going to be attacking Chino. The heal is going to come in, and with 3 seconds left, surely Kirito gets this ball in. Indeed, he does, and that is going to be game number 3 going to LOC. They're going to sweep SSG, who, although playing with a little bit of difficult circumstances, still can't feel too good to get swept.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Roladu with the free Memexin. I don't know who that is, but yeah, free that guy. Oh, no. Squeezy is distraught at beating his goat Bobby Brawl Stars. I'm sorry, but yeah, Space Station Gaming. We saw some signs of life. It was more entertaining a match than I thought it would be, all things considered. But congratulations to LLC. They're going to be moving up in the leaderboards, and that's going to give them a better seeding going into the playoffs.
Yep, definitely exactly what they were looking for to finish up the GKR circuit here. They've started pretty hot beating SSG the first day, and then they've kind of been a little bit hot and cold since then, but wrapping up on a victory has to feel fantastic for those boys at LLC. Feels good for them, feels bad for SSG having to play with such a bad deck of cards here, but they did what they could. They tried their hardest, so we're all still proud of you, Bobby.
Yeah, great stuff coming in from SSG considering the handicap that they were in. But at the end of the day, winners are winners, losers are new losers. Nobody remembers second place, but only the first place. We are going to be going into a small break, and it's going to be for about 3 minutes, and we will resume the cast with GG versus Pioneers. So we'll see you after the break.
Mhm.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR 2025, the NA Brawl Stars circuit. This is match day number 6 of the playoff stage. It is, I believe, the last match day, and afterwards we get into the playoffs. So we do have a few teams which are established in their positions, and GGs and Pioneers, GG, I guess, and Pioneers are the teams that are in this situation. So both GG and Pioneers have their fate seals. While Pioneers will be progressing on to the playoffs, we will be saying goodbye to GG today. Pioneers, though, will still need to break the 3-way tie at the top of the leaderboard in order to get the top seed. And that's predicated not only on their success, but requires monumental failures from both Motomamis and Tribe Gaming. And we still don't have confirmation right now if Motomamis are going to be playing today, which is pretty interesting because you would want to be top seed. So maybe Pioneers can have that lady luck on their side today.
Yeah, I mean, they've already put themselves in a fantastic position to be able to secure this top seed. They have only lost one singular game, and that was to SSG, but today they're going to be playing against GG, and, you know, they might not have anything to gain, but they also have nothing to lose. We saw them take SSG into a double match point yesterday, so they kind of proved that they can hang with some of the better teams in this tournament. So I'm excited to see what they have to offer. Even though we do have a little bit of a roster change from yesterday with Lukey filling in for Doodle, I still think that GG is a pretty solid team, and they could definitely put Pioneers on the ropes if they play well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just looking at the squad here. You have Lukey Bear, Nerf, and Venom versus Fade, Tyrant, and Zulan. So for Pioneers, this isn't about like winning per se, but this is about them perfecting their craft, because monthly finals are going to be next week, right? So not next week, in a few days, in fact. So it's going to be important for them to be able to clean up their gameplay, clean up their drafts going into the monthly finals. So any practice is welcome right now for Pioneers. So they want to be at the same, I guess, in the same breath as Tribe when people talk about NA, because right now when you talk about NA, it's either just about how well Tribe is doing or how a lot of the old guard is completely failing compared to like their previous seasons. So I think that, you know, it's going to be an interesting match nonetheless.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I mean, there's been a lot of Tribe hype, a lot of Elevate hype, and then SSG and Pioneers a little bit forgot about right there. Seems like we're gonna have a little bit of a delay here, Panda. Any word on that?
Yeah, so we're waiting for some players to show up, and depending on whether they show up or not, it's gonna be a free win for one of the sides. I'm assuming it's gonna be a free win for Pioneers, so we'll give you more confirmation on that. But unfortunately, that means that we're gonna go back into the break. And once more, we apologize to the viewers, but some of these things are out of our hands. We're just waiting for the players to show up, so apologies. But we'll see you in 3 minutes. Sorry, actually, we'll see you in 4 to 5 minutes. So guys, we decided that instead of waiting for the break and waiting for the players, we'll just kind of yap. So one thing I was talking to Duncan about right now is what do you guys expect records to be? Right now we have Mastery Madness, and on the 24th or 26th, no confirmation yet, we're going to end the Mastery Madness event. That means no more Masteries anymore, no more titles through the Mastery route anymore. But what that means is that we're going to be making way for records in Brawl Stars. And right now, we don't really know what records are. So what do you think? What do you think records are going to be, Duncan?
I would like to see like something kind of similar to Masteries. I did like enjoy the initial introduction of Masteries. I thought it was fun to have a reward for like grinding a specific brawler that you really enjoy. So I think that for records, it would be cool if they had like a stat like all-time kills with the brawler, maybe win percentage with the brawler, stuff like that. That kind of just measures how good you are, like at any level playing that brawler. I think that would be pretty enjoyable. I do still like the concept of mastery, so I hope to see that. I hope that we don't get to see that go away for good, especially collecting those titles has been something that's pretty fun for me. But what is your take on it, Pan?
I mean, okay. So what I liked about masteries is that you earn masteries through just playing the game, right? If you play most of the modes, except for maybe Map Maker, you're able to earn mastery points in any of them. So I like the fact that you make progression towards it without actually thinking about it. So it's baked into the base experience of what the game is. That's what I like about masteries. I don't know how records are going to be, but I would like some interesting records. Like you mentioned, they should be alongside achievements. You do something spectacular with a brawler, which can be done, but it's very unlikely, and as a result you earn records. I think that would be really good, like an achievement system. And if you get some amount of achievements, you can basically get the title or whatnot. Some of the achievements that I do want to see maybe is I want to see an achievement leaderboard of sorts, right? Like who has the most kills in a single game with a specific brawler, right? That would be nice to have on the leaderboards, and it's gonna be like really impossible to break some of them later on as time goes on. But something to reset every month would be really cool. Something to work towards or something. So you might have one tricks going crazy. It's also going to put like more content on the map because people are going to be going for something like that. So from a content perspective, from an achievement perspective, and from a viewer perspective, I think that records could be something good for the game. But I really hope it's something to do with achievements and something which is really, I guess, difficult to get to. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel what you're saying. I do agree that it should be good for content if they implement it correctly too. I mean, as somebody who has like my favorite brawlers, if you've been a fan of my channel at all, then you probably know I do enjoy myself some Mandy gameplay. So having something where I could just like make a video about like just playing Mandy and trying to get some of those Mandy records, Mandy achievements, whatever you want to call it, I think that would be pretty enjoyable. Also, just since the introduction of like the KD counter after each game, I think that there is a lot of potential that Brawl Stars could kind of use as far as stats go. I know in some game modes the KD doesn't really mean as much as it might in others, so I think like for like gems carried, maybe hot zone percentage collected, goals scored, they could definitely improve on that system a little bit too and give you a little bit more insight outside of just kills and deaths.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Kills and deaths are, you know, something that you expect, but like what happens if you could get like the most amount of enemies pulled or something like that, like with what is this, with gem carriers like Jean or whatever, or maybe the most number of revenge kills or something. But that's gonna be harder to track. A revenge kill is like when your gem carrier dies and then you kill their gem carrier who tries to claim the gems in that moment. And something like an assassin brawler would be great in those situations. You might have Daryl's jumping in, or maybe like a Lily just using his super to get in that point. I feel like those type of things might be interesting, but I feel like it's harder to track, right? Because those are very new as situations, which might be, you know, difficult to really understand in those situations. But I'm looking forward to this. I also don't think that records need to be specifically brawler specific either. You could have records for all their different game modes as well, or even time limited game modes, which are going to be immortalized in the future. I feel like when you have something to work towards as a player, it might be something that you are more engaged with in trying to keep doing in the future. So that's something that I feel like Supercell understands, but I am still a little bit reserved to see how it's going to be implemented. I hope it's great because I think that Brawl Stars right now really needs that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I feel like there's no worse feeling than hopping onto your favorite game and not really knowing like what you can do to like have fun and make progress. So something like that you're always making progress towards, I think would be really healthy for the game. I feel like that's the role that Mastery's kind of filled for a while, but I do think that the Brawl Stars team is correct in noting that the care, like people's care about Masteries definitely fell off a little bit. So finding something new and fresh that is still going to encourage people who enjoy grinding the game to kind of hop back on there and work towards a goal that they have, I think it could be very fun. I trust the Brawl Stars team to implement it well. I feel like every time people are concerned about it, it usually ends up working out all right, whether that be gadgets, hypercharges, second star powers. I feel like there's a lot of changes coming that a lot of people are gonna be a little bit skeptical of, but I
Oh
trust the
yeah.
Brawl Stars dev team. I think that they'll keep the game rolling strong, and I'm looking forward to the update for sure.
Yeah, I think that this year in Brawl Stars has had a lot of different systems kind of coming through, and the problem with change is that while change might be good, initially it might not be as good because you're trying to understand the new system. And the two systems specifically that I'm mentioning this year are going to be the introduction of the gadget rework, where the gadgets themselves don't change, but the frequency with which you use them changes, right? But that massively changes how you go with draft, how you go with just your general play style. I feel like a lot more brawlers are more aggressive now than they ever were before. Specifically Gray. Before, Gray was used for opportune moments where you can get your pull. Now you don't really, like, you need to get the pulls, but like if you miss a pull, it's not the end of the world, right? You still have your utility coming back in 23 seconds. So that was like a little bit contentious. At the start, the balancing was really bad. But that's expected because you don't really understand how the community would feel, how the brawlers would actually feel without having that data. But subsequently, I feel like they've tuned the gears a little bit better with the timing. It still has to be worked on, but I think like a 6-month horizon is probably a good time period to figure out if it's actually working or not. Similar with the heist rework, I think that, you know, the objective was to get rid of the base race thing, but I feel like it's further cemented base racism in Brawl Stars, even more so than before. So, you know, sometimes it's like a win, sometimes it's not so much of a win, but you have to keep on trying to fine tune it to get to a place where it's acceptable for you as a developer and also for the community as the person experiencing or the people experiencing it.
Yeah, I was always a believer in the gadget rework just because of the fact that there were so many brawlers that their gadgets were just always going to have one that's going to be clearly better than the other, given the fact that you only have 3 of each. So I think it does kind of increase the ability of those teams to, or for the devs to like kind of make those gadgets like have a little bit more parity. Obviously, there's still a lot of brawlers that you're only ever going to use one gadget for, but now instead of adjusting like the uses for the gadget, you just have to kind of tweak that cooldown timer a little bit. I think it could definitely still use a lot more work, but I have hope that it'll end up working out long term. And we're gonna have a lot of new hypercharges coming to the game too, so likely gonna be some broken ones, like we just saw with Kenji, that will completely define the meta. But in time, I believe that they will probably get those situated out. And it looks like we have an update from our game number 2, Panda.
Yeah, it seems like GG is a no-show. So that is going to be a forfeit win for Pioneers. And now Pioneers are, I guess, at the top of the board. And we should see how Tribe perform to see, and Motomamis to see what the results are going to be in terms of the tiering for the, I guess, the seeding, rather, for the playoffs. Because right now, with that free win, they get 2-0 in terms of like the set score. It could have been a 2-1, who knows? But, you know, I think they're still going to take the dub. A dub is a dub regardless, right?
Yep. Yeah, and definitely pretty deserved for Pioneers to be at the top of the leaderboard, even if they didn't have to play all of their games here. I mean, they were clearly one of the better teams throughout GKR, so not surprised to see them taking out the top seed right now. Obviously, Tribe and Moto Mami's going to be looking to join them up there at 5-1, but well-deserved top 3 seed securing there for Pioneers.
Indeed, yep. And just going back to like a little bit of the yap here, because we have to wait, I guess, for Mori Gaming versus STM, which is going to be the next game. I think we're going to take a break after like a little bit more of a yapping session, but something that I did want to talk about is the future of Brawl Stars, right? One thing that I thought would have had so much of impact in the game was Map Maker when it was initially out, because I guess I'm a huge fan of Nintendo titles, and there is one game which makes really good user-generated content: Mario Maker and Mario Maker 2. For Mario Maker for the Nintendo Wii U and Mario Maker 2 for the Switch. The base game is okay, whatever, but they've added so many different items and so many different environments and so many different interactions that users can make whatever they want, right? And they can make whatever they can see fit. So while the base game itself is kind of boring, user-generated content is exploding in the Mario Maker community. The game is alive only because of the users and the player base. And if Brawl Stars can make Map Maker in such a way that you have more engaging content which anybody can make, I feel like that is going to be a step in the right direction for Brawl Stars and Supercell as a whole, because we have all these different characters across all of the Supercell games with really great stories and lore and whatnot. And the thing is, we don't have custom mechanics which we can keep using or changing or adapting on the fly. So I feel like, you know, having map maker or a sandboxing of some sort for Supercell would probably be a natural progression to more community engagement. At least that's what I feel.
No, I completely agree. I think that map maker had a ton of potential when it was initially introduced. Obviously there was a lot of frustration with all of the troll maps always winning the map of the day and stuff like that. But what that kind of led to is a new little meta in the map maker community, which is mini games. As a Brawl Stars streamer myself, I often have people in my chat asking to play mini games. So something that I think would be cool for map maker is if they had like a set of like 10 to 20, maybe even more defined mini games that you could just always have in your queue to load up if you ever want to play with chat, with viewers, all that good stuff. So stuff like Nani Golf, Daryl Golf, trying to think of some other good game modes like hide and seek, stuff like that. I feel like it would be really good, especially for streamers. Maybe I'm being selfish with this take now, but I think that if they had a couple of like preloaded up mini games, that would be fun, and just giving people like more map like abilities, more environment tiles to be able to make even more complex and entertaining mini games. I think that would be super fun, even if you're just thinking outside of like a normal competitive map making.
I completely agree. And one other thing, like I want like some changes to the behavior of some of the modes. For example, Showdown, we have the gas coming in, right? When you make a lot of your mini games, you don't want the gas to come in. You want the map to be there the entire time without any kind of impedance to what you're doing. So I feel like if they introduce something like that, it's going to be definitely a much better experience all around for a lot more of the mini games. You don't have to keep on queuing up, and you don't have that little, you know, that time where like one person's like, oh, I'm gonna kill everybody in the lobby, you know, those sort of situations towards when the gas like starts coming in. So it's just gonna be generally a better experience if they remove stuff like that. But I want like more RNG with some of the tiles with map maker. I want more, you know, if you step on a tile, you don't know what's gonna happen. Are you either gonna heal, or you're gonna take damage, or you're gonna get jumped across the map or teleported to somewhere you don't even know. I think that RNG aspect would be pretty interesting, at least for map maker, because it's not supposed to be serious. It's about the entertainment.
Yeah, and I think that there's definitely a lot of fun stuff. I saw somebody in chat saying like a tile that charges your super. That would definitely be fantastic, because a lot of the mini games that I've tried playing with chat, there has to be like a Frank slave who's basically just there existing to charge the super of whichever main brawler is involved in the game. So that would be a cool one. I saw lava blocks as well. It would also be cool. This is an idea that I've thought of for a little while, but maybe walls like that are 2 tiles tall so that throwers can't go over them either. Maybe that would be a little bit difficult to implement in the game, but like not even an unbreakable wall, but an unthrowable wall, I guess. There's got to be a better word for that, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you could implement something dumb, like call it like a magnetic wall which pulls in any of the projectiles. So if you try to throw it over that, it just falls on like the wall itself. That could be an implementation. I don't think that's, I mean, I don't know how difficult that's going to be, but I think that's definitely in the realm of possibilities, right?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Maybe a little bit of a whirlpool action in the middle of a lake too. I don't know, man. Maybe we'll Exactly. I feel like there's a lot more that we could do with the environment for sure, though.
For sure, and like we used to have those random like characteristics and behaviors that some of the maps did to combat teaming. Brawl Stars added those healing mushrooms. They added the meteors, etc. Why don't they add like a twister which will pull people together instead of pushing them apart? And when you do that, especially when people are teaming, that's gonna free people out a lot, because they immediately will stop trusting your teammates, right? Then you're gonna have a lot more people killing each other. I don't know. I'm a lot more hopeful for Brawl Stars because I feel like there is a vision that could be explored. And I'm not saying that the dev team isn't doing it. Obviously, they have different priorities about what is needed at that point in time, and it's from like a business standpoint. But we're fans, so we just like a lot of wishful thinking, and we always see what Brawl Stars can be, and that we try to see the potential from like, you know, a very hopeful lens. And maybe that's naive, but I think it's always nice to think about, you know, a hopeful future because as like creators, we want to see the game do well, because if the game does well, then we get more views and all of that stuff. But more than that, if the game does well, then people are generally happier with the experience, right? And you won't have as much negative community sentiment as we've had in the past year.
Yeah, I get it. Here's a fun idea that I've had for a while. What if we had 100-player showdown in Brawl Stars, man? Come on, let's capitalize on that Fortnite momentum. Fortnite's still popular, so people still clearly like showdown royale type situations. I feel like they've probably got the capabilities to be able to make that happen. I think that would be pretty fun. Maybe even like 25 players if we want to start a little smaller, but I think there's a lot of potential for that. Maybe a storm that operates similar to the Fortnite one, where it doesn't necessarily always close directly into the middle. Could be interesting mechanic to add to the game. Obviously, there probably would be some issues with teaming, so definitely would have to think of creative ways to get around that. But what do you think about that one, Pan?
I think that's, I mean, I would like to see that. That sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, I don't think there's much more I can talk about, because I think you covered all like the boxes that I was gonna take anyway.
Maybe there could be like a chest mechanic. I don't even know what would like what drop you could get out of there, but maybe like extended range for a couple seconds if you like pop your item. Maybe like an instant heal, like a med kit or a shield would do for you. Something like that, I think would be
shields in Showdown would make so much of sense. Like just having like shields as a whole like concept makes so much of sense in Showdown. I would love to see that. That would be very interesting. Just like going back to a little bit of Fortnite, I like how each of the seasons you get a little bit different of an experience, and that's just with the base idea of a character. You don't need to be a specific brawler, right? You can just like, you know, you can be Spider-Man if you get one of those gauntlet thingies. You can fly like a bat. You can be a sniper. You can be a shotgunner. So like I like that aspect of Fortnite. I feel like we need to have some of those type of experiences in Brawl Stars, but unfortunately I don't know how to vocalize those kind of experiences for Brawl Stars. I mean, it's easy to say that we want this, but how would you implement it into Supercell games would be like the biggest question, because it needs to not be like, it should not have the feeling of Fortnite in Brawl Stars. It should be Brawl Stars being Brawl Stars in a different way, if that makes sense.
I think I get what you're saying with that. I think there's a lot of potential for what you could do for that. I saw somebody talking about revives. I think that you could definitely do that if there's like a squad function in the showdown mode. I think there's a lot of potential.
We have trios.
With the showdown to make it better, though.
I think that revive would definitely be a thing. I don't think you should guarantee like the revival in trios. It should be like you need to earn it or something. That would be cool, actually.
I think so too, man. Another thing I guess we could talk about is the Matcherino changes that are coming. I'm very excited about that personally. I think that this is the change that I need to kind of get into the tournament hosting space. So I'm looking forward to taking advantage of that, maybe hosting a couple viewer tournaments over on my side. But you got any opinions on the Matcherino instances?
So I'm not exactly sure about all of the changes. I just know that the pins are different now. And that they have a lot more tournaments coming in, so that's great for like the third-party scene, obviously, and like the grassroots scene for esports, and specifically NA, because it kind of has been suffering from, I guess, lack of third-party events. Though I'm not going to talk about like the obvious elephant in the room, considering the fact that there is a tournament, and you know what we're doing right now is because of that. The yap.
Yeah, I think that the change is going to make it a lot easier for like people who haven't hosted a tournament before to more easily set up a tournament for whoever they want to participate in that, whether it be their viewers if they're a creator, or if they're just somebody online, if they just want to host a random tournament, and people will be able to join that. Obviously the pins are going to be a plus, especially since they're throwing Mandy in there, so excited about that. Maybe I'll get a chance to get that pin one day, but I'm mostly excited. I think I'm going to be hosting a little bit of a casual cup, Panda, for players who have never hit Masters if you want to join.
A dunk cup. Yes, I'm definitely casual. Like, okay, the last time I played, I haven't played many games in the recent past because I've been really busy with RL, but the last time I played Brawl Stars was probably a week ago, which is kind of sad considering I'm a Brawl Stars content creator, so I should be playing more often. But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to playing a lot more in the coming weeks. I have more time on my hands, so maybe I'll get to experience like the full good Brawl Stars action. I really wanted to play the Mastery event, but I've been kind of busy.
Yeah, no, it's a fine event, but it's low key a little bit too easy to get the titles at this point. I'm like do it pushing like 6 games and I already get the title if I have somebody at gold already. So
Oh yeah.
maybe the 1000% was a little bit overkill there, but it's still fun either way. I mean, hopefully the record system makes it so it doesn't feel like a waste, but looking forward to seeing what they do with that. Definitely a lot of good changes they can make.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the record system. I did not do masteries at all because I felt like the time investment was too much to specifically grind for the masteries. I like masteries as like more of a laid back thing. This is the same reason why I like Club Quest. I don't know if you guys remember Club Quest, but what was innately good about Club Quest is that it was just generally a quest which is longer than your regular quest, and it helped you get like those club tokens or whatever, where you could open up bigger club boxes or whatever. But what I liked about it is you didn't have to specifically play for club quests. It was just baked into the base experience. So I feel like Brawl Stars needs more of those sorts of experiences, which give you good feelings for just playing the game rather than specifically grinding for something which is going to take such a long time to get that payoff. So I understand that Mastery has all these different tiers, which is like what you go from bronze to gold 3, and you get rewards between each of them. But I feel like the rewards do not, like I don't feel that accomplished trying to get like a mastery title. I feel like I've spent a lot more time than I got out of it. So I feel like sometimes it looks a little bit too exhausting. So I'm hoping that, you know, with the records, it's a little bit different. Like if it's goofy stuff where you can just do, like I said, get 20 kills in a game and then all your teammates are just trying to help you get that, or maybe your teammates are trying to make sure that you don't get more than one kill. You know, those type of things would be funny to me, and that's probably content that I'm going to explore with records.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be cool. I also think that there could be a pretty good change to the club system. I feel like a lot of people are big haters of the Megapig system, and I kind of do fall into that category a little bit. It does feel a little bit more grindy than it should at some points, but if they were able to implement something that kind of captures the fun that that Clan Wars initially brought to Clash of Clans, I think that would be pretty awesome. Whether it is like a direct like club v club action or just something similar, I think that that would be pretty good. I mean, they've definitely done a lot of work to make clubs more important into the game, so hoping that they can extend on that a little bit, bring a little bit more of that community feel to the clubs.
Oh yeah, Bobby confirmed that he did qualify, so that's good. Playing Wi-Fi kind of did come in clutch. We didn't get the gameplay that we wanted, but that's going to ensure that we get the gameplay that we need in the playoffs. So I'm kind of happy about that. In 4 minutes, we're going to go into Mori Gaming versus Stamina, but I'm not sure. Do we take a break or do you want to keep yapping, Duncan? It's up to you.
I'm down for a quick break before we get into that. I hope
Okay,
you
okay.
guys have enjoyed
Sure.
our little podcast. Somebody said this is more like a podcast. We're here for the DVS and PandaCast GKR podcast hour, but we'll take a quick break before we pop back for more gaming versus STMN.
Hello everybody, welcome back to GKR 2025 at a Brawl Stars circuit. I am your host, Pentacast, joined by Duncan Brawl Stars, the man who mogs me every single day. Just look at that guy, look at the definition! And also the pink cat ears, which I'm very jealous of. We've had one match and a forfeit win, and now we have 2 more forfeit wins coming as well. So the next 2 matches that we're going to see is going to be Mori Gaming versus Stamina and Code OG versus Tribe Gaming. We'll get more information for you for the other matches after we finish this one, but right now it's going to be Mori Gaming versus Stamina. How are you doing today, Duncan, and what do you think is going to be happening here between Stamina and Mori Gaming?
I'm doing well, Panda. Thanks for asking as always, but I'm excited for this matchup between Mori and Stamina. I think that these are 2 teams that should have a pretty competitive match. Stamina has been performing a little bit better since adding Juan to the roster, but they did suffer an unfortunate loss yesterday, so going to be trying to get that bad taste out of their mouth against Mori. Mori Gaming has been a team that, although they don't have the most wins under their belt so far, they have definitely surprised some people with the quality of play that they've brought to the field. Alex, Sunny, and Z, obviously some people that have been in and out of the chat right here, but they've been playing fantastic Brawl Stars throughout our first 6 days of the circuit, so hoping to see them take STMN to at least set 3 right here. I think it should be a pretty banger matchup, and if I'm not mistaken, I think STMN does need to win in order to make playoffs.
I mean, it's very unlikely and improbable, especially considering the scenario, but Stamina Esports is the only team outside of the top 8 that might have a chance to qualify, like you mentioned, in the GKR Gauntlet. But I guess they need to completely wipe Mori Gaming off the face of the earth. If they get like a 2-0 win, then it's definitely going to give them a lot more of an opportunity to get something going. So while the future isn't directly in Stamina's hands, they can still make it more plausible with a dub today. Mori Gaming, though, on the other hand, hasn't had the best showing in GKR, but unlike some of the other teams, they actually do show up, and you know, that has to count for something, right? Additionally, I have to mention that Sunny in Mori Gaming has, I feel like, had a lot more impact in the games than a lot of his teammates, and I feel like this is a name that you guys probably need to look out for a lot more in the future, because he has been making a bit more impact than what we see. Z is going to be there as well, along with Sunny and Alex, and we're going to go into our draft here, Duncan.
Yep, we're going to have our bans for Triple Dribble, which is our first map of the day. The Mori Gaming bans are going to be Jae Young, Lily, and Juju. Stamina Esports banning out Finks, Lumi, and Hank, and they're going to go with the Larry and Lori with the first pick. Not a brawler that you see all that often nowadays. Definitely not as meta as he once was. Obviously kind of broke the game for multiple months after he came in, but has since fallen off a little bit. But this is a good thrower map, so I definitely think going with that Larry and Lori, since it does have a little bit more defensive capabilities than the average thrower, could be pretty solid. We see Mori Gaming answering that with a Chester and a thrower of their own in the Barley.
I like this Barley pick a lot. It doesn't have as much range as Larry and Lori, but with the Herbal Tonic, you're able to heal up your teammates, and your Hypercharge also covers the entirety of the map, so that's something to think about. Larry and Lori do not have Hypercharges yet, but it is still a very oppressive brawler to face on a map such as this one. B is going to be there for cross-lane support, also taking down a lot more tankier options that Mori Gaming can present with their composition, because so far they have a very aggro brawler in Chester and Barley as well. So they need something a little bit more in terms of moderating and dictating the flow of the game, which B does quite well with Stamina.
Yeah, B is definitely going to be the longest range brawler that we see coming out here as well. Mori Gaming does finish their draft with an Ollie. I definitely think it makes sense to have at least one more aggressive, tankier brawler on the comp, and Ollie is one of the most versatile tanks in the game, so I really do like that pick. And we're going to see Stamina finish up the draft with a Shade. We saw how well the Shade worked out for LLC Esport in that first game, so definitely a pretty solid brawler. I think it was the first pick in that draft as well, so Stamina getting him for a little bit of a bargain with this final pick of the draft. I really do like both comps that we're seeing here today, though. Not really too sure which team is going to have the advantage.
Not sure either, but I do like the Shade because of the fact that you can go through walls and not take damage from Chester or Ollie. But like the Hypnotize from Ollie is such a huge thing to think about, because he can pull opponents in. You can go in, destroy them as well. Chester with a Hypercharge, I mean, there isn't much you can say. He's just kind of crazy. It is basically get purple button win game kind of situation that they're in. We're going to go into the first game between Mori and Stamina. And so far, it seems to be a little bit of a detente in the mid.
Yep, Tacos is going to be trying to break that, though. He's trying to push up on this left-hand side, pretty aggro onto Z. Obviously able to shoot through walls, but until he gets that first super, he's not going to have the most maneuverability. He's kind of grabbing the ball and not really doing a whole lot with it as of right now. He does finally throw it up, but we see Z is going to get that super to zone them out. He actually does take out Juan Carlos in the process, so going to be the first kill of the game coming off the board for Mori Gaming, and Tacos is going to be next to fall as they push up in their positioning.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest reasons why you want to run Barley. And, ooh, Sunny gets taken out, charge up B-shot. That Barley puts the super down, and it's going to be a big hazard for Stamina just to exist on that point there. Nice gadget from Pain to get out of that situation. Got Z down sufficiently low, pushed him back as well, and Z has to pick up the slack. But it's not going to be the case with Tacos going in, getting the kill onto Z, and the goal is also going to be there. And Stamina quickly, within a minute, take the advantage and goal.
Yeah, it looks like Stamina's comp might have a little bit more than Mori Gaming can bargain with right now. Sunny's going to have his hands full with that Lori super, but he's trying to push up onto Tacos right now. The Barley super does leave the middle of the map, so Juan is going to be able to cycle back into that mid, but Tacos has super. He's going up, and he's getting some good shots off on Sunny. Might be able to take him out here, but he is stunned out by the jump. That's going to be him falling instead. Mori Gaming might be able to slot this through if they time this push correctly, but it looks like Juan's going to be able to keep that off.
Yeah, good shot from Juan Carlos. Getting that charged up shot, gets the kill as well. Now they're able to dispatch Sunny as well. And Z caught in an awkward position against Tacos is not going to enjoy that at all here, as Mori Gaming completely pushed back all the way to their spawn here, and ball control along with the advantage with Stamina.
Yep, Stamina does not need to score here, so they are definitely going to be playing pretty cautiously. Z does have that hypercharge in order to clear out the entire middle of the map, though. And we got to be curious how close Alex is to his Chester hypercharge. I think that might be the break that they need, but Sunny's going for gold up here. He's not going to be able to get away from this situation. They're kind of waiting for Juan to get rid of his shield, but they're going to be in a stalemate right there. That is going to result in Juan taking him out.
Yeah, it was a little bit close for comfort as Tacos goes in, gets the kill on a Z. Alex might be the next to fall, and I feel like this at this point is already good enough for Stamina. The death rattle with a hypercharge gets the kill onto Juan Carlos, but I think Stamina is very secure in their position right now. Take the dub, and this is going to set the momentum for them for the rest of this fixture.
Indeed. Sunny definitely had at least one chance to maybe get a goal right there, so definitely not completely out of the water for Mori Gaming to potentially get a victory here. So they're going to have to lock it a little bit harder here, maybe be a little bit more cautious when they do finally get that one goal scoring opportunity. Stamina, on the other hand, they played it pretty safe, and they just got their one goal and then kind of just chilled out for the rest of the game. But it really all comes down to Tacos as far as their pressure goes. As we get into game number 2, it looks like Pain is already pushing up, and he might have a free goal on Z right here. Indeed, he does. That's going to be a tough break for Mori Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, they just completely rolled through them. Stamina in a great spot here. Now they are going to be pushed back a little bit, and the oppressiveness of Barley does make itself known. On the right-hand side, we do have the Lori going down, and Alex has to contend with that. He's going to be taking it out, but now has to go up against Juan Carlos on the right lane. Not the easiest proposition to go up against. Nice hypnotize on the left. Sunny is almost going to be taken out. He does get taken out by Tacos, but the revenge kill confirmed by Z. Control is on the side of Stamina, but with this last call, Barley's going to make it even harder for Stamina to move up once more.
Yeah, Z has been getting so many supers, and it's been completely zoning out the middle of this map, but they've never really been able to move up and do too much with the ball. But Tacos is going in. He cycles his super immediately. He gets 2 kills, and he's going for the triple. He gets it, and that is going to be set number 1 in the bag for Stamina Esports. Fantastically played to them. The Shade pick with that last pick of the draft is just so menacing right there. I feel like he did so much work in the last set that we saw Shade on this map, and in this one too. Shade is definitely a brawler to watch out for on Triple Dribble.
Ooh. I mean, you get that hydrate up, and Stamina doing a really good job considering the situation that they were up against. But honestly, I think that it is in their wheelhouse. I think that they're not that, pressured, all things considered. First set went to them. They have to get the second one, Sneaky Fields, as well. But, their opponents are going to try to push for set number 3. Sneaky Fields, though, as cagey a map as Triple Dribble. But, you could be a little bit shifty, be a little bit shady, and get some of those important pivotal kills with some of these aggressive brawlers that you can definitely run on a map like this.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if they get a little bit shady, if you know what I mean, Pan. I think that the shade might make an appearance once again right here, but we saw the draft from SSG and LLC in our first match of the day on Sneaky Fields. It was pretty much exclusively tanks and tank counters right there, so I'm expecting a little bit more of the same here. Seems like these pro teams do not want to be playing for control on a map like Sneaky Fields. It's going to be all gas, no brakes, and I think that's kind of the vibe that these teams are looking at.
All gas, no brakes. Dude has bars. Damn. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be swearing. I'm sorry. But yeah, dude has bars there. We are going to be going Sneaky Fields, like you mentioned. Lots of grass. It's going to be a little bit difficult if you don't get the bans or the picks that you want. But honestly, there are so many different brawlers that could be conducive to this map here. Chester, great. You can probably even run Buster. Lily is definitely a brawler, which kind of, I guess, epitomizes the ethos of this map, which is basically you sneak around, you use your super, your gadgets to get away, get in, and all of that. So I think that's definitely a good shout, especially with her hypercharge. She is a very scary brawler to go up against in a map where you can find Lily in your face literally any second. It's
yeah,
scary.
Definitely. Lily is a great brawler, but I think that she does fare better into non-tanks. So I think that the meta on Sneaky Fields has been pretty tank dependent, which is a little bit worse for Lily. She's not really able to get those quick assassination kills onto brawlers like Hank, onto brawlers like Jackie. So we're going to see the bans come through here for Sneaky Fields. It's going to be Jae-Young, Lumi, Chester, Willow, Barley, and Juju. So Stamina choosing to ban out 3 throwers, and then they're actually going to pick the Nita first. So getting a little bit of their tank counter out of the way off rip here, trying to prevent more gaming from going strictly tanks, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, Nita, I like Nita. It's great for the fact that you can wall peek here, and once you put down the bear, it's a little bit scary to go up against, especially if you don't have pierce shots as well. Mori Gaming have the next pick here, and considering the bans, they decided to go for Gus. Gus by itself on this map, not that great, but can do a number against the opposing mid. But if you're going to be pressured and you lose sight of the grass, then Gus is a little bit harder to play. But the merits of Gus are more alongside the shield. You put the shield on your teammates, they can go in way more aggressively, or you could just use it defensively to get like a assassin off your back because of that bounce that you get with using your shield. Another thing is that the hypercharge is also quite good for a support brawler such as Gus, and Ash going to be picked up to complement the Gus. I don't think you can go wrong with the Gus Ash so far. I like this for Mori Gaming.
I really do like the Ashe pick quite a fair amount. Also, having that Pierce with Ashe's main attack is going to be really good for when inevitably the Nita does get Baron and is trying to push up behind that. I think that the Gus pick is solid, but like you were saying, if you do get pushed out of that middle grass, it's going to be really hard to get vision back on the opponents with Gus. And we're going to see STMN going with the B pick as well to face off against the Gus in the middle. I don't think Gus has the worst matchup there, but if B is able to line up those 4K, 5K shots, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to deal with. B does get countered by the Ashe Rats though, so I don't know if it's my absolute favorite pick in the world, but as far as tank counter mid goes on this map, B is always going to be in that rotation.
Indeed. B, I think it's one of the classically one of the best answers to tank, and pairing it up with a Frank, you have a tank of your own, you have a tank counter in 2 brawlers, specifically Nita and even the B. So I feel like Stamina have their bases covered. Let's see what Mori Gaming decided to bring out here, since the Chester's already gone. They go for Maisie, which is probably going to be a decent enough answer to the Frank, but it's not a typical answer to the brawlers that we are up against here though.
Yeah, no, as far as tank counters go, Maisie is definitely one that kind of fell off a little bit. I enjoy playing Maisie, just the way her shot works. I find her to be a satisfying brawler to play, but she has certainly fallen out of the ranked meta, so curious to see how she works out here. That knockback will obviously be very useful into Frank, but into Nita and B, it's going to be a different story. We are into game number 1 of set 2, though. Stamina with a 1-0 set lead. We see Z pushing up on this right side, trying to charge his rage off of Pain, but he's going to have to fall back for now, and we see mid control on the side of Stamina.
Oh yeah, Z is furious, but he's also very dead as Juan Carlos gets that kill there. Ball winning past the Tacos, could go for a goal here. They definitely have a goal scoring opportunity. Sunny trying, desperate as he is. It's not going to be enough with the wall break from Tacos. Juan Carlos able to get this one in. Stamina on the board within 30 seconds.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of DPS on the side of Mori Gaming right here, and Tacos took absolute advantage of that. Juan went for a sneaky shot right there, but is not going to be able to get away with it, so Alex is going to corner it, but Pain's got his Hyper Bear running it down. Sunny is going to have absolutely no answer for any of this. He's trying to delay the inevitable, but it looks like that is going to be an easy walk-in for Juan Carlos, and that brings Stamina to match point already.
Wait, match point? Yeah, it is match point. That's crazy how dominant Stamina were. There was a situation I felt like Sunny could have probably used his bubble on his teammate who was going into the Frank. In that moment, it would have knocked back the Frank, and possibly it could have delayed the inevitable, but it is the inevitable that we're talking about. Nonetheless, Stamina on match point here, and looking to close this one out in a very fast 2-0.
Yep, we're going to see if there's any answer on the side of More Gaming right here. I mean, they're hitting some decent shots, but there's just no mid control to be spoken of. Tacos and Pain just completely dominating this grass as of right now. Tacos is moving up with full HP too, and he's going to quickly 3-shot Alex. He's going to get the wall break as well, and that's going to be yet again another free goal for Juan Carlos. One singular goal away from cleanly sweeping More Gaming.
Indeed. I like how Sunny's actually keeping it range against Juan Carlos, not feeding him, not hitting the shots either. Hypercharge ready for Tacos. That's kind of crazy, but Alex going in, finds a kill, but his teammates are down. The ball is being passed to Pain. Hypercharge Bear is there to kind of be a big distraction. It's... What? He broke his ankles. That's going to be goal. That is going to be Stamina taking the dub here in a quick, fast, electrifying 2-0 and are going to be in the playoffs. And I'm not sure what is so funny, but Juan Carlos is absolutely, pleased with himself.
Hey, man, they're having a good time. They earned it. That was a dominant victory for Stamina, and I love to see all the boys hanging out on the couch together. A couch full of victors right there, but you love to see it for Stamina. More Gaming, not their finest performance that we've seen in this tournament, but they still put up as good of a fight as we can ask for, and shout out to them for coming to play today. I know that's more than a lot of teams have been able to do, so good game to those boys. Unfortunate that we're going to have to leave them here because I really did enjoy watching those guys play competitively.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that all of these guys are really great, and I think they have a bright future in esports, especially in NA, especially with the fact that right now you have a lot more youngsters coming to the scene, and the old guard is kind of decaying and falling off a little bit, so it does give you a little bit more confidence in the future. And just looking at what we had today, unfortunately we were supposed to have 2 more games, but we don't, because we have more forfeits. So the first game was LLC Esports and SSG, which went to LLC. Bobby actually showed up on a plane, mind you. Then we had GG giving a forfeit win to Pioneers. Then we did see More Gaming play against Stamina, where Stamina took it 2-0. Then Tribe Gaming gave a forfeit win to Code OG, and Motomommies gave a forfeit win to Crumbs. And finally, we have another forfeit win from Real Ones to Elevate. Real Ones didn't play a single game after, I guess, joining this tournament. So a little bit sad to see what we saw here today, or rather what we didn't see today, which is teams playing. And, hopefully when we have more tournaments in the future, teams actually show up. And, that's a little bit unfortunate from the perspective of the viewers and obviously production and also casters or whatever, but also to the other pro players that you're participating against. So hopefully teams ruminate on this showing and have a better appearance, I guess, in the future.
Yeah, certainly not the most competitive day that we could have asked for here, but shout out to the teams that did show up, especially Bobby playing from the plane. Got to give respect to the man right
Bobby
there.
playing from the plane is it's so iconic, right? Other teams aren't even showing up. He's on a plane. He's 10,000 feet in the air, and he's still showing up for matches for Brawl Stars. So, I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing, but the good thing is that this man keeps his commitments. So, remember that.
Yep, and it looks like we have our list of qualified teams right here, guys. It's going to be Elevate, Tribe, Code OG, LLC, Crumbs, Motomommies, Pioneers, and Space Station Gaming. So those are our top 8 teams that we will see next week for the playoffs right there. GG's to all of those teams, even though we didn't get to see a lot of them compete today. Still looking forward to the playoffs, where hopefully everybody will be on their best behavior and take things a bit more seriously here.
Yeah, and as I always do at the end of the stream, thank you so much for showing up today, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you to the production team and the admin team behind the scenes to, make it more seamless than it is. Obviously, you wouldn't want to face this situation if you were in that team, so I feel really bad for the tournament organizers. But, we, at least Duncan and I, are just paid to show up and yap. So we still did our yapping. And I hope you guys enjoyed our yapping. But that's going to be it from us for today. We are going to be having the playoffs sometime at the end of the month. Not really, let me look at the days. 25th and 26th, no, 25th and 27th of this month is when we're going to do the playoffs. So I hope to see you guys there. It's going to be a double elimination bracket with 8 of our qualified teams participating then. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the group stage. Unfortunately, it, I guess, ended off quite unceremoniously. But, I hope you guys still, found some value in what you saw, and we hope to see you on the 25th and 26th for the GKR NA playoffs, where the teams hopefully do show up once more.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you guys still have that itch that needs to be scratched for some competitive gameplay, I will be streaming tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to watch a little bit more Brawl Stars today, didn't really get your fix in right here, then I'll be there for you. But hopefully you guys will be all. Hopefully we'll catch all of you guys here next week for the playoffs. Definitely excited to get into that. But that's about all I got for you guys. So thanks again for watching.
Subscribe. Oh, sorry, I was muted. Make sure you subscribe to Duncan because he posts daily content, mostly rank focused, and also he does stream once a week, and now he's going to be doing the match arena tournaments as well. So I basically only reasons to follow Duncan, so you better do that. Anyway, we will see you guys on the 25th and 27th